Team on the day is Matty Ryan in goal. We'd made 2 changes in the fullback areas from our previous game. Montoya, our centre halves that have played, of course, most of our games. Duffy, Dunk, Bong in that left back position. Dale Stephens, Proper. Gross as a 10. Solly Marsh on the left hand side. Anthony Knockaert on the right hand side, and Glenn Murray up front. Well, generally our shape, would have been a 4-4-1-1, particularly with the way that Gross plays. Gross tends to drop back into midfield to make a midfield 3 at times. How expansive we are depends on the opposition, and of course what team Manchester United play and what formation that they play. But as soon as it was apparent they were going to be playing a 4-3-3 with the personnel that they had, particularly with Martial on that left-hand side, we knew that we had to be probably defensively stronger, on our right-hand side. So decided to play very much a narrow 4-4-1-1 with Gross dropping back in and looking at opportunities to counter-attack, probably particularly more on our right-hand side than left. The defensive areas would have been, we tend to play, a structure of a back 4 with probably our fullbacks, not being so expansive, not playing in such a high position. So as much as possible, getting into a back 4 and working as a back 4. The areas that we probably worked on the most would be in our right back position, with a Martial playing that bit higher, and of course Pogba utilising them spaces inside left spaces and the way that he breaks into the box. So it was very much about making sure that Anthony Knockaert gave us an opportunity to double up on that right hand side, and making sure that Montoya didn't play too high. We felt that if Montoya played high and pressed too much, then there would be too many opportunities for Pogba to utilise it. We knew that they would have more possession than us, and we knew that they would have more possession in midfield. But for Pogba to utilise that area that he does so well, we felt that we would be better off trying as much as possible to keep into a back 4. But it meant, of course, Anthony Knockaert doing a good defensive job for us here, and of course us being narrow. Dale Stephens playing predominantly, even though we're 2 in midfield, Dale Stephens and Proper, but Dale Stephens playing a little bit more, perhaps a little bit more right-sided, which meant Proper had to be a little bit more central, and at times, of course, getting Solly Marsh narrow on that left-hand side. What they have in a Martial in a high position, Mata playing narrow, midfield 3. We felt that with Martial in such a high position, being a centre forward, really playing in a wide area, wouldn't give him the defensive duties, wouldn't give him the defensive responsibilities that a Mata would on this side. So we felt that particularly through Anthony Knockaert getting into them positions. So if we're looking at Pogba in them positions, Martial high, Lukaku high, Mata, that we felt that on the turnover, Dale Stephens winning the ball, David Proper winning the ball, that we might be able to get this ball to Knockaert, either in a wide position or coming in off the shape, or utilising Pascal Gross, playing in the number 10 position, playing that little bit deeper, breaking lines through midfield and getting an outlet to Anthony Knockaert. And of course, Dale Stephens' position as that right of centre midfield. So as much as we can, initially try to stop the passing lanes into Martial, but have a defensive strategy once he got the ball. And Knockaert ended up doing a really good job for us. Having said that, probably the first opportunity they had in the game was exactly that, was Martial picking the ball up, coming inside and having their first shot at goal that Shane Duffy ended up blocking. So we had that initial threat, very early in the game. So if we needed a reminder of that, it was it. But certainly on the offensive side, we felt that with what they had, with Mata playing narrow on that right-hand side, but we knew Martial, being the forward player that he is, given him that forward threat, but we felt that we could capitalise on the fact that he does play quite high, and that we could break and have breaking lines on that right-hand side, and we felt that that could be our counter-attacking base and of course our attacking threat on that right-hand side. I think the key to that one, I think, was very much Solly Marsh's position, because obviously Bong playing in that left back position, Bong, I think, receiving the ball, if I've got it right, from David Proper, receiving the ball, and Solly Marsh's positioning was really to pin Ashley Young in a more central position. So I think having done that one, and then making that move, I think a Solly Marsh eventually making that move into a wider area, receiving that ball in a wider area, then Bailey from a centre-half position was pulled out of a central position. And one thing that we generally don't want from our centre-halves, we want our centre-halves as much as possible to protect the goal, to play across the width of that 18-yard box. But I think as soon as Bailey had decided to come out of that central position, then he's got to win the ball. And I think, or he's got to stop the cross. And I think as soon as he didn't do that, that allowed Glenn Murray the opportunity to break that back line. And of course, it was a very good finish from him. But I think the move started, I say, very much from Solly Marsh in a really good infield position, pinning Ashley Young, which allowed us to get that space on that left-hand side. Then, of course, really good movement from Solly Marsh, centre-half coming out and allowing us that space for Glenn Murray to score. Okay, so on the third goal, and what we would always do on the opposition strategy to play out from the back. So goal kicks, when opposition will spread the two centre-halves, full-backs in high positions. So there's lots of ways that you can deal with that. One, particularly, and what we might have done at that stage of the game is just drop the two, our front two in, Gross obviously as a 10 and Glenn Murray, particularly at that stage of the game, and let them have the ball at the back. But we didn't. We chose again to press high. And pressing high doesn't mean you can stop them playing out to the centre halves, but it just means is that you tend to cover all areas. So which means they're either going to play the ball to the centre half, or he has to kick longer. So our strategy made them kick the ball a little bit longer, and credit to Dal Stevens, who was on top of him very quickly, wins possession of the ball. So we're now in a position of probably a 3 against 4. The key for me was Glenn Murray's run, and made a run from inside to outside. At that moment, we thought that Dal Stevens was probably going to play the ball to him. Dal decided to play a clever ball into Pascal Gross that had made a run into the box, a real clever run into the box. And then, of course, Bailey brings him down for the penalty, which was great timing from our point of view, because it was very late in that first half period, and saw us going into the half-time talk in a very good position.